What do we want? Women! When do we want them? Late at night when the bed feels emptier than usual. How are we gonna get them? By reading in public until they notice us.
Hey, yes, Friday, cool. Today we talk about New York, we talk about Will Smith, we talk about cannabis use disorder, all the fun stuff. So, Will Smith is a person that most people know of, and he has a book coming out about his life. And according to High Times, there is a little passage there in which he has some really intensely psychedelic experiences, and they have kind of freed him. In his own words, he says, "This was my first tiny taste of freedom. In my 50 plus years on this planet, this is the unparalleled greatest feeling I've ever had," which is pretty amazing to hear from him. So apparently he went to Peru and had a few, at least more than a dozen ayahuasca rituals, which is a crazy amount. That's a lot. I myself have not done ayahuasca. I haven't had a ritual, but I have a friend who is assisting someone in Peru. I have friends who here in Los Angeles who are heavily a part of that scene. So I've always been very curious about ayahuasca and do plan to do that soon. So it's interesting to hear Will Smith's intense experience with the plant. That's really all that I have to say about this, except for actually there's one other thing. So according to the Global Ayahuasca Project, they did a study with a bunch of people who have done ayahuasca, and of those people, 85% say that the ayahuasca they took made them make a profound life change. That's pretty astronomical. Obviously, it's done by the Global Ayahuasca Project, so there's a bias built into that. But even if there is a bit of a bias, even if there's a 5% bias plus or minus, that would still leave it at 80%. Even if it's a 15% plus or minus, that still leaves it at 70%. For people to take ayahuasca and have these profound life changes is really something we should be focusing on and thinking about. And this is potentially not just life-changing for a lot of people, but world-changing if more people take ayahuasca and go on these rituals. It's really interesting. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Maybe when I do it eventually, I'll chime in and give you my experience with the whole thing. In another story that came out today, it's kind of a fascinating path to legalization that I had not thought of before, which is two senators, Cory Booker and Elizabeth Warren, sent a letter to the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, saying, or asking him to decriminalize marijuana now and then have, Congress kind of deal with the aftermath after that, which is honestly, this seems more like a Mexican approach where the Supreme Court had decriminalized marijuana and now they're still left in this bind where they're feeling like they have to find ways to regulate but can't agree on anything. However, there's more pressure because it's decriminalized and it's kind of just out there now. So this is a fascinating path towards legalization that I hadn't thought of. It also would make a lot of sense because Biden on the campaign trail has said that he is for decriminalization. He's for taking it off the Controlled Substances Act. He's not for legalization, but this would kind of fall in hand with that, and he would potentially be down for something like this. So this has more promise than any other path that I see now, like the Senate path with the Chuck Schumer bill. I don't see that going anywhere. The MORE Act, I see that passing the House and not the Senate, and then again not getting to Biden's desk. But this is different. This is something that Biden can have a kind of a hands-off approach on, but still be part of the solution, be a part of decriminalizing, and then leaving it to the states to kind of create their own bills. In a prior episode, I had said that the idea of having each state legalize and not having a federal blanket legalization might be a good thing. I had a comment at that point that said, it was a guy from Alabama who said they're not, that would just leave his state never to legalize, and that's a very good point. There are plenty of states that would just never legalize, but if there's a federal decriminalization that would just happen and then leave it to the states, then they would have an incentive because they might as well make money off of this thing now that it's decriminalized. So that's a fascinating path, and maybe something could come of that. I don't know. Finally, New York, which has had a bit of a rocky path ever since it got legalization earlier this year. But this new governor, Kathy Hochul, is kind of killing it, and she appointed everyone to a control board, cannabis control board. They had their first meeting on Tuesday, and it was a productive meeting. They can't really do anything when it comes to recreational marijuana yet, because it's built into the bill that it's going to be another year and a half until there gets any kind of retail out in the open in the state for recreational marijuana. However, one thing they can tackle is medical marijuana, and so they did. They expanded the amount of people or the kinds of people who can give out medical cards. So now dentists and midwives can give out cards, give out medical cards to people. They also made it possible, which I didn't even know this was not possible before, but now you can buy flour. You can actually buy smokable flour for medical marijuana patients. Before it was just vapes and oils, but now they have expanded it to be also flour. So crazy that wasn't a thing before, but it is now, and it's expanded, and they've basically made the medical marijuana industry as kind of beefed up as possible. While it's kind of bittersweet, because we know that we're not going to see any recreational forward momentum in a while, it does show that the control board is serious and is taking this job seriously and trying to get things done as quick as possible. So that's a good thing. And that's it for this week. We'll be back on Monday with more stories. I'll see you then.
Hey, can I sing for you guys?
What is this for?
It's for a documentary.